Part 5. The plan was already in motion the morning after I scheduled those appointments. I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Control. 4 months. Maybe even years. I had been reacting to other people's decisions. Other people's expectations. Other people's plans. Now, for the first time, I was taking control of my own story. And it was long overdue. My first meeting was with my attorney. A man named Robert who had handled David's and my affairs for nearly 20 years. He knew our family. He knew our history. And most importantly, he knew me. When I walked into his office, he immediately noticed something was wrong. "You look concerned." That was an understatement. I sat down. Placed the property appraisal report on his desk. Then the handwritten note. Then copies of everything I had collected. Robert read silently. His expression growing more serious with every page. When he finished, he leaned back in his chair. For a moment he said nothing. Then he asked a question. One simple question. "Do your children have any legal authority over your property?" "No." "Power of attorney?" "No." "Joint ownership?" "No." "Trustee rights?" "No." He nodded slowly. "Then they can't do anything without your permission." Relief washed over me. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. But Robert wasn't finished. However. There was always a however. If they're discussing these things with professionals, it means they've moved beyond casual concern. My stomach tightened. What does that mean? It means they're planning. That word again. Planning. The same conclusion I had been trying to avoid. The same truth staring me in the face. My children weren't simply worried about me. They were preparing for something. And whatever it was. They had intentionally excluded me. Before I left, Robert gave me advice. Advice that would later prove invaluable. Don't confront them yet. Why not? Because people reveal more when they think their secrets are safe. I thought about that all the way home. Because it made sense. If I confronted Jennifer and Michael immediately, they would become cautious. Defensive. Careful. But if they believed I knew nothing, they would continue making mistakes. And mistakes reveal truth. 3 days later, another mistake happened. A very big one. It came from Michael. He called unexpectedly on a Tuesday afternoon. His voice sounded excited. Distracted. As though he were multitasking. We chatted briefly. Then he said something strange. Something he clearly hadn't meant to say. "The realtor thinks," he stopped immediately. Silence. A long silence. Too long. My pulse quickened. "The realtor thinks what?" I asked calmly. Another pause. Then he laughed nervously. "Nothing. Nothing. The most suspicious word in the English language." I said nothing further. Neither did he. We ended the call a few minutes later. But the damage had already been done. A realtor. Not an advisor. Not a consultant. A realtor. Someone who sells houses. That evening I sat at my kitchen table. Looking around the room. The oak cabinets David installed himself. The table where our children had done homework. The walls covered with decades of memories. Every inch of the house represented a life. Our life. And now someone was speaking to real estate agents about it. Without me. A week later, the private investigator called. His voice was calm. Professional. Direct. "Mrs. Wilson, I've found something." I felt my heart skip. "What is it?" There have been multiple inquiries regarding your property over the past several months. My grip tightened around the phone. Inquiries from who? A brief pause. Then he answered. Individuals connected to your family. I closed my eyes. Because hearing it out loud made it real. Painfully real. The investigator continued. There were requests for market evaluations. Neighborhood comparisons. Property trend reports. Future resale projections. Each sentence felt heavier than the last. Not one inquiry came from me. Not one. Yet people were researching my home as if it were already available. Then came the worst part. The investigator hesitated before speaking again. And when people hesitate, it's rarely good news. What is it? I asked. There appears to have been discussion about potential assisted living options. I felt completely still. As if time itself had stopped. What? Several facilities were contacted. The rooms suddenly felt smaller. Much smaller. They were asking general questions. Availability. Costs. Waiting lists. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Assisted living? For me? Nobody had discussed this with me. Nobody had asked if I wanted it. Nobody had even suggested it directly. Yet someone had already begun gathering information. I hung up the phone and sat in silence. For nearly an hour. Unable to move. Unable to think clearly. Because this crossed a line. A major line. Selling the house was one thing. Discussing property values was one thing. But researching where I might live afterward? Without telling me? Without involving me? That wasn't concern. That wasn't love. That was planning. Planning an entire future on my behalf. That night, I pulled out old photo albums. Not because I wanted memories. Because I needed perspective. Page after page. Year after year. Birthday parties. School concerts. Family vacations. Christmas mornings. Every photograph showed the same thing. David and I giving. Supporting. Helping. Sacrificing. Building. We spent our entire lives making sure our children had opportunities. And somehow, somewhere along the way, they started believing they knew what was best for us. And eventually, what was best for me. A few days later, Jennifer invited me to lunch. Her tone sounded cheerful. Almost rehearsed. Mom, we should spend more time together. The sentence would have made me happy once. Now it made me suspicious. Because timing matters. And suddenly everyone wanted more time with me. After months of distance. After years of indifference. The change felt artificial. Calculated. Strategic. Still, I agreed. Because I wanted answers. And deep down, I knew those answers were coming. The lunch would change everything. Because Jennifer wasn't planning to tell me the truth. But the truth was about to reveal itself anyway. And once it did, there would be no way for our family to return to what it once was. End of part 5.